Yes, it is recording. Okay. So we'll call the meeting to order at 6:01. It's a regular meeting of the Norfolk Board of Education on March 5th, 2024. First on our agenda is public comments. We don't have any members of the public here, so we are still awaiting the approval of the minutes from November, but we can, I believe, go ahead and vote on the minutes for the regular meeting of February 6th. Everyone should receive those in their packets. Do you have any questions or corrections? Discussion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to accept the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Under correspondence, we have nothing of note. Then on to the superintendent's report.
Kiddo. So Lauren is ill. Hi, Jay. So she's not going to be here. I was planning to keep my comments brief to give her the time to go through all of her annual data presentation, but I'm going to spend this time to talk a little bit about the grants. Kathy had you put something in the packet, Kathy?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So there might be some questions or clarifications, but in the meantime, we did apply for some reimbursement money for the reading program that we were mandated to purchase. And it looks like we will get, the good news is $23,000 from the state. The bad news is we can't ask for or get it until 2025. And when we do get it, it just goes back to the town. So we won't see it in our hand, but at least it's something that, especially this year, if we're over with special ed, we can share with the town that, you know, we are making efforts to get money back, and we anticipate the $23,000 from that grant to go back to the town.
That's great. So what's the name of that grant?
One is the small school grant, right to read, and one was right to read, the other was small schools. Right to read, both of them. But
So it's two different grants for a total of $23,000?
yeah, 13 and 10.
And they're both expected in 2025?
2025, and they will be reimbursement. We've already spent that money.
And it'll go to the town, so we can
We'll
let
go to the town.
that's great. So we'll let the town know that
Yeah,
we're making money.
we're looking forward to that.
We'll put it that way.
And then, you know, again, you know, overall, you know, we never know what grants we're going to get, if we're going to get them, how much they're going to be. So for instance, every year we apply for, and we do get rural grant money for years and years and years. We get money for rural grant. And you can, in the handout that Kathy said, you know, you can see some of the things that, you know, we spent that money on. But we just got notification that this next round is only going to be about $8,000. So in the past, we've gotten 20, whatever, but that has shrunk. The Title I and Title II grants that are more entitlement grants go right to shared service and help to offset the cost of bridges and some of the shared service salaries that they use to run their offices there. We have the rural grant. We have, that's pretty much it. We had a lot of the grants through COVID that helped to offset all of our investments in cameras, helped to offset the high number of cleaning and health supplies that we didn't anticipate having to buy. Again, all the grants come with stipulations, but wherever possible, when we get a grant, we try to look to see what we can supplement in the budget without supplanting. And then it frees us up to, you know, pay for those unexpected things that come up. Or at the end of the year, we'll have additional money left over. And every year but one in the last 10 years, we've given back significant money to the town. So we do try to keep it.
Can you explain the process of searching to find the grants and then how they are pursued?
Well, we typically get notification, and the grants that we apply for are the state and federal grants. We don't have the time and resources to go looking for grants outside, but when we hear
Well,
them.
AKC's outside.
AKC, that's outside, but that's inside, right? I mean, John has done all that work for AKC grant. And, you know, that funded the theater, the lighting, the cameras, and, what else did that do? The sensory room, maker space, bought the 3D printer. A lot of our technology has come through the grants, books for the library.
So primarily the grants that we receive are ones that are offered through state programs or are specifically brought to the school by an interested party.
Correct. And
They're mostly federal grants. I don't think we get any
Oh, okay,
state
federal
grants.
grants.
Actually, they're all
Well,
federal grants.
It's a good question because I was just reading, it was probably my fundraising solicitation from the Northwest Community Foundation. And I just glanced through this and they work with a number of funds. So it was one of the funds under their umbrella that just gave a very substantial grant to Colbert Elementary School for something.
Yeah.
So I think there is additional, you know, I wish I had flipped it or it's probably on their website. I think they're bragging about it somewhere.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, you know.
Yeah, I just, well, a little later today, I'm gonna be. I think that there could be room for someone, it might be really worthwhile to town to have someone whose job it is, or a portion of their job it is to look for those grants. And to try to get them.
Well, even beyond that, Crystal, who is the person who runs the hub now,
Yeah.
that's her background. And one of the, she really wasn't brought in by the Norfolk Foundation to be managing the hub. She was brought in actually to help nonprofits through the hub. I presented the school too, and identifying her, because that's what she did in the past in her, she was down in, down in South Danbury, somewhere there. And that's what she was doing. She was doing funding development for, I think, their town. So she would be a fantastic resource, I think, a good starting point.
Great. I mean, it is like, it's a whole, you know, I work with nonprofits, and so it's a whole arm of how to find, you know, to find funding, and it requires a lot. And I do think it is kind of more than we can ask our administration to like add to their load. But I do think it could be a really useful position that could bring a lot of value to the school.
Well, opinion of their small special projects, I know I just submitted an Evan Hughes charitable trust, and they do small, they generally do 10,000 or less, but it's a 2-page application. I mean, it took me an hour and a half to submit it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of these
The
are pretty
Children's
low
Foundation for the PTO has been
hanging fruit.
unbelievably generous resource and has allowed a lot of things to happen. Arts Foundation, no, and it just, there are more, and those are ones that I got for the PTO with very little, you know, with not a lot of effort into it, and they have a long history now, but I know there are more. I'm sure there are more.
I have a quick question, like, so Region 7 or like the Connecticut, like state doesn't have like a grant office that we could tap into as well? Like, cause where I work, we have a grant office that gets all the federal and state like grant stuff together and then tells faculty, hey, you can apply. Like, does Mary Beth, do you know if the state has like a grant office for education? Or
Well, anything that comes out of the state is either the state or state and federal grants that they pass on to us. And again, all the COVID stuff, all of the Title I, Title II, IDEA, special ed, all comes out of the state, but there's no grant office that supports support schools unless like we get notification that there's a grant, there was the grant to get some reimbursement for
the
materials that we purchased
okay.
through the mandate. So when we get those notifications and we can, you know, they're doable. Even for the $23,000, I got halfway through that application and sent an email to the woman at the head of all of that at the State Department. And I said, Melissa, this is ridiculous. This grant is about 150 pages. It was written for something else that someone took and borrowed. 90% of it has nothing to do, and I'm not going to finish this grant unless you can come up with some simpler way. If you're saying that this is to reimburse monies already spent on a program that you mandated us to get, you can't make it this difficult to get to some reimbursement. And on that, there's a grant for 13 and a grant for 10. I said, the hours and hours to go through this, I said, it's not worth it. It's ridiculous. So they really were good and worked with me and got it down to a place where they eliminated the requirement that we commit to sending a whole team of people for extended training, which was one of the conditions of the grant. And there were a couple other things. And at one point, we missed a deadline and she goes, oh, that's no problem. We'll extend the deadline for you. They've got money that they want to make sure we get, but they're not set up to really help and support in terms of getting grants. And once you fill out the grant application, if they're related to the state or the feds, then it comes with all kinds of requirements of reporting and monitoring, and you really need a person dedicated to that. So it's not just the initial application of the grant, but if it's not a small kind of a local thing, it comes with, and then the guidelines, and you can't use it for this, and you must use it related to that. And it's the stipulations require an awful lot of.
I know. Yeah. We just got a $3 million grant. We had to hire a program director and we have an outside consultant and data, like make sure we're reporting properly. Like it's not like, here's your money, like we have to report that we're using it how it's intended. But I've also gone through the process of writing a grant, like to the Pettit Foundation.
Yeah.
It got declined and someone I was working with on a nonprofit just changed a word, and consistently through the document, and then it got approved.
Yeah.
It just didn't like how a definition I used. So,
Well, I'm just looking, and $3 million grants are very different, but I'm looking through here.
Yeah.
$3,500 budgeted for field trips.
yeah.
I think, go once a year to Evan Hughes, they will have to underwrite field trips, and we can take that out of our budget. Or, to Tony Kaiser. There's things like that I think we should be creatively looking at and saying, because these are the sort of things that people like to underwrite, right? Oh wow, we're gonna send kids to Mystic Seaport. Yay us.
And if it's like to do books and stuff, like we can have like a bookshelf that it's like, donated by whatever, and actually like showcase that a grant paid for it, I see where you're going.
A question, because I don't have a background in applying for grants or them. Would we lose any autonomy in the school deciding what the field trips are, or the books are about or not about? Do we lose any of that control if we rely on outside funding and don't have it in the budget?
It all depends on the program. Evan Hughes is very liberal. They say, so you said you're going to use it for a field trip, make sure you use it for, and that's, they write you your check, you deposit it. And they're really, I don't know if everyone knew Evan, but, he was very into our community, and the folks who are on his board, they really like these sort of $5,000, $10,000, a lot of times one-offs. So I was just thinking, when you guys are planning for the year, what you want to do for the next year, if there's anything creative, the perfect.
Well, we go to the Children's Foundation of the North. We have, and they're very good. And those local,
That's another one to add out of his town.
philanthropists are different than, they call them a grant, but in my head, grant definition is like just very different. But the Norfolk community has been wonderful. Anytime we've asked for things, we have gotten them. One of the things we've talked about is that, our, the budget's a public, document, and we want the budget to tell a bit of a story. So I would just worry that when we took cultural events out, and then we said, well, we've got to figure out a way to pay for it. Put it back in the budget. If they tell us we have to cut our budget and then we have nothing else to go to but cultural events, we say, well, we've cut cultural events, but it's important to us and it's in our budget. So, I wouldn't want to not have somewhere in here the fact that we have cultural events and field trips. But if there was something like, we send our kids to Nature's Classroom every year. And the parents do some fundraising, but whenever we need more money, we've gotten it from local places. But I guess in my mind, I don't consider those so much grants as donations from really generous people in Norfolk.
Yeah, I'm working on the grant to the Children's Foundation right now for that. For the Nature's Classroom field trip.
Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for that rundown, and I think there's a lot to think about and things we can plan for the future on. That's great.
But I interrupted you. What were you gonna say?
I don't know. Let's just assume it was brilliant and we'll.
All
Oh, I
right.
think I just was gonna say that, I actually think we've already said this, that yes, you would lose some autonomy, you can lose some, but it really depends on the grantor. Some often case, and many of those small ones, they are very little, but some of them would be. So it seems like it's one of those things that it's great to have, but maybe not, you can't rely on it completely, so you need your baseline, but that you can look at it for improvements and for doing really great things.
You know, even things like the tree planting, right, that we talked about. And if you have a little ceremony, they love stuff. Iron Bank loves stuff like that.
Oh.
Approach them, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Great, excellent, okay, so we have, the bills for review that you all could look at if anybody has any questions there. And we also have what of the budget has been expended year to date, so just take a moment to look at that.
And everybody has the Kathy, did you have the new budget copies for Jen?
No, I did not.
Shared services were expected payments or unexpected payments.
Which one?
The shared services.
No, they're expected, those are those are the salaries and for the paras and for the assessment.
Okay.
And then I did read in the Norfolk now that Board of Finance is asking the Board of Ed to present their budget at their April meeting. When I talked to Mike a few weeks ago, he thought with their March meeting, but I think it looks like the selectman is gonna be doing his budget. So you haven't heard anything from Mike?
I haven't, no, but I can reach out to him.
Well, I can double check too, but in reading the Norfolk now, it outlines the timetable that they had, but I'll
Yeah.
confirm. But right now, it looks like April 9th, which gives us some time. But typically, we like to get a copy to Board of Finance prior to the presentation. So if the board is so inclined to vote on a budget tonight, we can get copies to them and get some early feedback, because nobody likes surprises at tonight of presentation.
Yes. I think John is intending to join our meeting, so why don't we move to since we don't have our principal here, we're delaying the state of the school presentation to next month.
Yeah.
We'll move on to our standing committee reports, but let's do those, while John's connecting, let's go through some of the others. If there are, so let's see, personnel negotiation, we did curriculum technology is postponed, so next week. Policy.
Do you have something up for our first meeting? Or maybe this one?
I can't remember. Do you have I feel like we were all up to date on policy, no?
We were
So,
waiting to get some.
We've been working on all of, so in the process, when we switched over to Shipman Goodwin, we got all of the policies, everything that's mandated we have. So in the last 2-3 months, Kathy, bless her heart, has helped tremendously to get all of their policies, all of the existing policies of the board. We've gone through and we've looked at redundancies, we've pared it down to where we have the mandated ones and then the board policies that aren't mandated but have been approved by the board. And I've gone through them all and I think that they need to stay. So we will have the combination because it's specific to us. Like there's no mandatory homework policy, but how long did we work on a homework policy? So we've got it down now to where I think it's almost in the shape where Ian is going to help us to get them. Ian's gonna upload them and then Ian, you thought you might be able to get it to a point so that we could get it on our website
Right.
and find some way to use that keyword feature.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then the only other thing that development since then that I don't know, you tell me if we need to bring it to the board for the vote. we mentioned last month that at the health and wellness meeting, we had talked about the naloxone. And we thought it would be a very good and safe idea to have that available here, you know, for whatever need might arise. And so we looked at the policy, and Shipman Goodwin has that Narcan option available in their medical policy. So we've gone through and looked at all of that. We've gone through the forms. It's in there, which we've already adopted all of the Shipman Goodwin policies. And the only other thing we did was that we went through all of the forms that we had, the forms that they gave to us. Keandra went through everything, and we've streamlined the process and the paperwork. So I can bring that to the board as soon as that's finalized to take a look at. You know, we can look at it at either a policy or come, you know, and then bring it here in April to the board, just so that you can see what we do. I think it's probably interesting. It's follows the lines of what we do with EpiPens and everything else in terms of what parents can opt out of, and there are opt-out options for parents for those things. So we can look at all of the paperwork, but other than that, policy has been through a fuzzy transition, but it's going to be beautiful and really streamlined, and I think easy, really easy for policy committee moving forward, because unlike CAVE, they don't send you 6 versions and this suggestion and that suggestion, and then they send them for mandated policies and would be nice to have policies and policies to consider. So we weed through tons and tons and stuff. And, you know, Shipman Goodwin, not unlike Pullman Conley, says when it comes to policy, less is more, because if you have it in policy, you have to be absolutely sure you adhere to it. Most times districts get in trouble. It's not because of what happened. You didn't follow the policy. So, you know, we can be confident that anything that we're required to have, we have. Policy can look through the board, ones that remain, and, you know, maybe confirm or have a conversation about whether we continue those as well. But for the time being, we have all of those in place and are now working to get them up on the website. And I'm glad you're feeling better. You've had one.
Yeah, well, last month was like our moving day. I didn't even know what day it was. Like I didn't intention. I would like call and say, "Hey, I can't make it," but I literally didn't realize like what day it was. So yeah, it's
Well,
fine.
congratulations on wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
And in Norfolk.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
people move to someplace else.
I know I was worried that you would.
No, we're here.
I'm sorry, I'm just having a job.
They abandoned me on my road.
I can still hit your house with a rock.
Yeah, I know. It's just not the same.
I know.
And I miss seeing your kids. It's okay. At least you take my kid.
Yeah, you
Once a
can
week.
have mine.
Yeah. Michael loves going. Michael has said multiple times, if we ever decide to move, he's moving in with the Whitakers.
Oh,
That's sweet. Okay.
I thought I saw John just log in and then log off. Was that him?
That was probably me trying to
Oh,
copy the
okay.
link to send.
Sorry.
But I have not sent more, like, okay, speaking of, health and wellness, first Tuesday, did you have a health and wellness meeting today?
No, it was last month. I reported on it.
That's right, okay. Janet's not here for shared services. How about the PTO?
The big most pressing news is the play that's going to happen on March 22nd and 23rd.
So excited.
Yeah, 7 o'clock on Friday night and then 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. It'll coincide with the book fair that we do. So the book fair will be set up in the back for the public. That helped a lot last year when we had it set up that way. More people had access, more people donated books to classrooms and bought for their niece and nephew and do that in conjunction with each other. The Spirit Week will happen the week after spring break, which coincides with Earth Day and the planting of the tree and the different Spirit Week themes for celebration and then the movie night and themes night that ends the whole week. The 5th and 6th grade, maybe Ginger, you have more to say about this, but the 5th and 6th grade.
Yeah, I raised my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hopping into.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
Go for it.
Just real quick, I thought the play was gonna be 2 and 7 o'clock, both Friday and Saturday. Is that wrong?
I do not believe we have a 7 o'clock on Saturday play. I think it moved from 7 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
Okay, so 2, but is it twice on Friday and then once on Saturday?
We have a school show for the Botel students here
Right,
that
10
Friday
right?
morning. And then a public show Friday evening at 7, and then a public show Saturday afternoon at 2.
Okay, I thought I saw a post that there were now 4 performances, so it's still 2.
I will cry if we have. It's not spreading the rumors here.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's just the two public.
It's just the 2? Okay, fine. Well, the 5th and 6th grade, we've decided to do like a snack table, popcorn, stuff like that to sell to raise money. Janet's getting some merch together, hopefully of like sweatshirts and she's combining your Norfolk stuff and my Norfolk,
I
stuff.
sent her a new logo today. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, with the snowflake on the box, the ice box.
No, this has a refrigerator. I like
Oh,
it. It's
okay.
cool. I'll show you.
That's right.
So,
Hi, John.
yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Four shows would be great because I could really use the overtime pay. Um, so, we're kind of speaking of plays. We're at kind of a crucial point in the rehearsal here. So I've left a few people on stage to work on some lines, but can we do the finance portion?
Yes.
Yeah,
Quickly.
yes. Thank you for joining us. Okay,
I-
so we have a new copy of the budget in front of us. You have one that was recently sent to you. To quickly tell you what the change is, there was a slight reduction in the healthcare line. So in the end, that has slightly reduced the amount of our increase. However, there's a little bit of a footnote there. Although all the numbers are the same, there was a miscalculation in that box originally. But long story short, the increase that we have in this proposed budget is 3.42. And that's where we're at.
So were there any questions?
Does anybody here have any other questions? We talked about, while you weren't here, we talked about knowing that the Board of Finance is interested in having us present at the April 9th meeting.
Right.
And that we
April
want
9th,
to.
I thought they wanted us to present at the March meeting.
When I talked to Mike a few weeks ago, he was looking at March, and it might be the case. I haven't had a chance to talk to him, but in the Norfolk Now that I read this morning, it has the first selectman presenting his budget in March, and that the Board of Ed would be presenting in April. So we'll have to clarify that, but hoping
Okay.
to get the budget to him before that anyway.
Okay.
It doesn't look like you guys are on the agenda. The school's not on the agenda.
Yeah.
The March meeting.
Yeah, Kathy said she's looking at the agenda for the Board of Finance March meeting, and we're not on there.
Okay, so may I make a motion?
Yeah,
So can I make a motion that we approve and adopt the draft budget as presented by the superintendent for the 2024-2025 school year?
okay, a motion to make. Would anyone like to second it? Second. Amy seconds. All those in favor?
All right.
Okay, that motion carries.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks very much.
Okay.
John, we'll
Done.
be in touch.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you much. Thanks.
So
Bye.
Mary, we said hi.
Okay, will do. Thanks.
All right. Okay,
And when is the Mary Poppins play?
it is April 26th, 27th, and 28th. You can buy tickets at NWR.
You got the voice
dot
for that,
ticket.
yeah.
You're not carrying some in your pocket this time?
I can give you a
You
link.
sound like movie time.
You can send me a link. My reason for double checking was that, like, I'm hoping John has time to do his presentation performance for the Board of Finance while he's
Yeah,
still
it's hard
working
because
on
we have
this.
rehearsals Tuesday nights, but they'll have to go to that. Well, it's gonna work out.
Okay.
He'll go to that. I'm sure he'll go. No problem.
I just, let me finish, can I finish the 5-6 thing?
All right.
Yes,
Just to give everybody an update. So we finally like are trying to coordinate because we didn't find out till January that both classes are going and how much it was costing. So like I'm working on a grant. Janet is gonna do the 5-6 dance karaoke again at Norbrook. We're working on some other things, maybe with the fire department to do like the boot drive, you know, and split that with them because they're fundraising for their birthday party that they're having. And just some merch and stuff. Like we're just trying to find different ways. Stacy Dillard is donating 50% of the proceeds from one art piece to the fund. So if anybody wants it, it's beautiful. It's called Park It. You can see it at the hub through April. And if you want to buy it, you can buy it. So that would help us greatly. 'Cause we-
Ginger, I'm sorry, can you back up a little? So the 5-6 are going to what and what's it cost?
I'm sorry, they're going to Nature's Classroom in
And what's it cost?
Massachusetts. And it's, the kids go for like, what, 4 days? They go and they learn all about the pilgrims and nature and, you know, it's unplugged and they're together with the 6th grade from Colebrook. And they just enjoy bonding.
What's the all-in cost for something for that?
Oh, the all-in cost for the, I have 15 kids. I don't know if there's 15 or 16 like going, is $6,225
For the whole thing, for all 15 kids?
for just, yeah, for just the trip. Yeah.
You know, I don't want to bore Evan Hughes, but honestly, they're having their first meeting in like March 22nd or something. It is such a fast application. I would recommend shooting off a very quick request for funds from them.
From which place?
Evan Hughes Charitable Trust.
Oh,
And I will send you the
right, 'cause they're just
information.
starting now, right? I mean, that's the.
Yeah, yeah, they run out of they basically, they choose all their obligations by June, let's say. But their first meeting is, I want to say, March 22nd, and there's still time to get a quick application. It's email, it's super easy. It's a 1-page cover letter and let me shoot you the information.
Yeah,
Because
can
that's
you-
the sort of
yeah, I'm
dollar
looking
figure
it up.
they'd be great for.
And they're out of Lakeville.
Well, they're actually, they're the trust administrator at Salisbury Trust Bank, but it's really Norfolk focused.
Okay.
Yep, I'll
If
shoot
you
you the
could
stuff
send
tonight.
me the contact info, I will write
Yep.
a grant application. I would love to.
Okay.
Yeah, I know
Okay.
we've been praying for like a guardian angel to come and like rain us with money.
Yeah. And it's different this year because it used to be a 6th grade trip, but our 6th grade is 4. And for those parents to take on that kind of fundraising, this year, we tried to be creative as a school and as a PTO to say, let's do it differently going forward as we look at our numbers, but that's fantastic.
Right.
No guarantees, but I'll shoot it to you. That's an easy
Thank you.
application.
it's a
Yeah.
great trip. It's a capstone experience for the kids where they go off and kind of, they have a lot more autonomy. They bond together before they go and kind of join a bigger middle school world, and it's good. It's really
And
important.
next year, they won't be going to Nature's Classroom, like the rising 6th graders they'll do another like more local, smaller trip. So we won't have to fundraise this big again next year, but then the year after they'll have to fundraise largely. And then there's also other things that the 6th grade parents have to pay for. So whatever money was left over from that fund, we're leaving. It's like a little over $1,000, I think, right, Amy? Something
Yeah.
like.
Yep.
So, you know, they can do yearbooks and t-shirts and the promotion stuff and all of that. But we're working on it.
Great.
Thank
Thanks for
you,
taking it on.
Walter.
There's also the PTO butter braid fundraiser right now. If you've never had a butter braid, you should definitely try them. They're delicious. Too good.
Is it a baked good?
Yeah. Walter, I'll send you that link too. You
In
can,
your mouth.
they're so good.
I think my son could eat 3. Like, it's so, he
I
loves
was
that.
so
He really
sad
loves
when they
them.
got rid of the savory garlic bread with the marinara.
I ate a whole one for breakfast. They just go right down.
You never had one.
Oh,
You
my
have to get
them.
goodness.
Gotta get the cinnamon one.
Cinnamon,
Yeah,
okay.
the apple one, and the strawberry cheesecake. I just ordered it yesterday.
We shouldn't have this at dinner. This is a hard
Yeah.
time at meetings. Okay, all right, so where are we? We just finance. We are moving right along.
Yeah, this month. No, we meet in March.
EDC, Lauren is not here, although this is, and this going into new business this is a good place for me to talk about this. So something that always comes up, or something that is often on my mind, on everyone's mind, I think, when we're working on budgets is, we always want to make a budget that is very responsible and helps us to keep our costs down and it's really pointed at exactly what we need. But it's also really important, I think, to add value to the school all the time. And think about what it is that we can do to make the school as great as it can be, which supports humanity and children and also our town. So to that end, I asked Mary Beth to put together a job description for a person who could be, for a position that would work as like a community outreach position or and a program development coordinator. The idea being that with our, we have a part-time superintendent, we have very few teachers really in our school now, and everybody doing everything that they can do. But having another person whose specific job is to connect with our community, to build programs, to look for things like grants and opportunities and stuff like that, could really be a way to kind of help shape our school and our community relationship. Now we can't afford this, I'm sure, because we don't want to be adding another position into our budget. But we often have people come to us and say, how can we support the school? What can we do? What could be good for the town? And so I like this as an idea of something that the board could propose or kind of put out there, or maybe talk to the EDC about, not as like, and not in a heavy-handed way, but just in a like, here's an idea of something that we come up with. So anyway, this is just a first stab at this sort of thing. And I have it printed here, but I probably should have asked to print out multiple copies, or maybe I'll send it around for everyone to take a look at. And I would love to hear, as I said, I don't want to add this to the budget or anything like that, but the idea of kind of thinking of what we could do that supports the school and its connection to the town in a way that could maybe grow both of them to support more engagement.
I have thoughts. One of the things that Libby, who's on board, co-chairs the EDC, has been really trying to figure out a way is to get Kelly Kendra Hughes back to town.
Yeah.
And she's been looking at doing something, a very similar position, part-timey sort of thing with EDC. So I think that, tying those together
Makes a lot of sense, right?
perfect.
Yeah.
And I mean, so
I think this could really go over really well. And I love the idea of trying to wrap into that position or wrap into that same person who serves the town's interests, because the town's interests and the school interests are the same thing. They are the same interests. And so just to kind of give a very nice, complete picture of what that might look like and the ways that they could maybe interact with the school and be supportive of the school in a foundational way, I think could be really a good move forward.
have you spoken to Libby at all about this?
Libby and I have spoken for the last 10 years about things like this.
Because she's very focused on the school this year too.
Yeah.
She's been
she's been a good supporter of the school for a long time. And we always talk about ways to find more community involvement and engagement, and the ways to take advantage of, there's lots of people who want to do good and want to help and support the school, but it's hard to figure out the best way to do it, because there are, as simple as it may seem, there are always complications to it. So I really think that having someone whose job it is specifically to focus on that piece could be really worthwhile, because I just think it would pay great dividends to invest a little bit in that person and in that position, that they could then, have the bandwidth to be able to come up with creative ideas and to make those connections and, leverage those positions.
Well, I also think that the Norfolk, I guess it's called the Norfolk Hub now. Norfolk Foundation changed their name.
Yeah, now they're just.
But I would anticipate that they may be a source of funding the salary of that person as well.
Yeah. So I think it could really work. So and I'm hopeful that this might just help to build that, it just,
Bridge between the
to,
schools.
yeah, to build that bridge. And maybe if, you know, what I'd like to do is have everybody read this, because what I want to have from the board is support for bringing this to agency, to, you know, to, it's, you know, so many of these players are the same, right? And
Oh,
in
yeah,
a various
absolutely.
groups. So if, you know, we've worked hard on building like Lauren's been going to the EDC meetings, trying to kind of formalize that relationship. So I think a good place would be to start would be to like offer this job description to them and say like, this is how we think like we can all work together. But I really want to have the boards, I want to have consensus on it, that everybody likes the idea. And, you know, we can obviously tweak this and as Mary Beth said, I think Mary Beth did a really nice job of putting this together. She said she put in everything, like threw in the kitchen sink. And I think that that's the way to do it when you're going with a position like this. But so if y'all could take a little time to look at this, maybe we can. We've got the budget this month, but maybe next meeting we could talk about this some more. And then, you know, with the goal of trying to finish the EDC and then.
Just hypothetically, if we had all the money in the world, would this be full-time?
I think it would be. I mean, I would love this kind of position to be a full-time position because, well, I don't know. These things take time, like these sorts of, these relationship building jobs like this take time. They take like, you know, going places on the weekends and they take,
Expense account.
yeah, they take time. And so if we can afford it, that's what I always want to do and have somebody's full focus. Anyway, something to keep in mind. So, with that, we've had a wonderfully efficient meeting. I think that we are at the end of our agenda and we are looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Jay. Is there a second?
Second,
You
since
know, if
John.
everyone wants to stay.
All those in favor? Aye, everybody's in favor?
Hi.
All right, we gotta go home and see if those Eagles hatch.
Oh, wait,
So you think it was a full-time just focused on the school?
No.
Oh, just a full-time position.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jen is exactly.
yeah. I'm sorry. Mary Beth, can I, and Anne, since you're both there, I just want to let you know, I'm on a dissertation committee and I'm a third reader that the student's defending on Thursday. And the dissertation is about school and community partnerships. So I'm hoping that after the student defends and everything's approved, I'd love to share it with you because
Yeah.
it's based on, it's a high school, but it's a small high school in Hulls, Massachusetts, which is on the coast. And there's like 200 students in the whole high school. And so I think there's just some good findings about how to help improve the school and community relationships. So
Wonderful.
Do they want a job?
Yeah, right.
right. Speaking of, want to write grants? No. So I just wanted to share that with you. And if I get permission from the student, I'd love to send that to everyone once, you know, it's ready for like publication through Northeastern. So
That's
is that
great.
with everyone?
Wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to mention that. But
Okay.
thanks for being patient with me while I'm not there. All right. Have a
Thanks
good
for
night.
joining us. That's why, Ginger. Appreciate making it work. Have a good night.